In the quiet city of Lafayette, Louisiana, a medical professional's oath to do no harm was egregiously violated in a case that would forever intertwine the fields of medicine and law. Dr. Richard J. Schmidt, a respected gastroenterologist, and Janice Trahan, a dedicated nurse, shared more than just a professional relationship. They were entangled in a clandestine affair that spanned over a decade. This secret liaison, hidden behind the walls of examination rooms and whispered conversations, would culminate in an unprecedented act of betrayal and a groundbreaking legal battle. On the night of August 4th, 1994, under the pretense of administering a routine vitamin B12 injection, Dr. Schmidt visited Janice at her home. Unbeknownst to her, the syringe he carried contained a lethal concoction, blood tainted with the human immunodeficiency virus, HIV, and hepatitis C, drawn from one of his unsuspecting patients. This malicious act was not just a crime of passion, but a calculated attempt to inflict a slow and torturous demise upon a woman he once claimed to love. In the days that followed, Janice's health began to deteriorate inexplicably. What started as flu-like symptoms escalated into a relentless assault on her immune system. Months of medical consultations yielded no answers until the devastating diagnosis was revealed. She was HIV positive and also infected with hepatitis C. The shock of this revelation was compounded by the knowledge that her trusted lover and physician was the architect of her suffering. The ensuing investigation peeled back the layers of Dr. Schmidt's meticulously crafted facade. Detectives uncovered evidence that, on the very day of the alleged injection, Schmidt had drawn blood from two patients, one living with AIDS and another with hepatitis C. These samples were conspicuously unaccounted for in medical records, raising red flags about their intended use. The case against him was bolstered by the pioneering application of phylogenetic analysis, a scientific method that traced the genetic lineage of the virus found in Janice back to Schmidt's patient. This landmark use of molecular biology in the courtroom set a precedent, marking the first time viral RNA evidence was pivotal in securing a criminal conviction. In 1998, justice was served as Dr. Richard Schmidt was convicted of attempted second-degree murder and sentenced to 50 years of hard labor. His appeals, which challenged the admissibility of the scientific evidence, were systematically denied, reaffirming the robustness of the forensic methods employed. Janice, bearing the physical and emotional scars of this ordeal, transformed her pain into advocacy, raising awareness about the potential for medical expertise to be weaponized in the most personal of crimes. The case of Dr. Richard Schmidt and Janice Trahan stands as a chilling reminder of the depths of human betrayal and the groundbreaking fusion of science and law in the pursuit of justice. It underscores the imperative for vigilance within the medical community and the unyielding resolve of the legal system to hold even the most esteemed professionals accountable for their actions. A former Lafayette doctor convicted in 1998 of attempted murder for injecting his former mistress with HIV-tainted blood has died. Ken Pastorick, spokesperson for the Louisiana Department of Public Safety and Corrections, confirmed that Richard J. Schmidt, 74, died at a Baton Rouge hospital February 12. Schmidt was still in Department of Corrections custody at the time of his death, serving a 50-year sentence at a Lane Hunt Correctional Center in St. Gabriel. Pastorick said, Schmidt was found guilty of attempted second-degree murder in 1998 after a jury concluded Schmidt injected his former mistress, Janice Trahan, with HIV-tainted blood under the guise of giving her a B12 vitamin injection. Schmidt, a gastroenterologist, and Trahan, a nurse, had been engaged in a long-term extramarital affair and had a child together. During that time, Schmidt also treated Trahan as a patient, court records document. In her testimony at trial, Trahan said that the night of August 4, 1994, Schmidt arrived at her home insistent on giving her a B12 shot. The woman was asleep in bed with their child when he arrived. Schmidt had given Trahan several B12 shots in the prior month before she ended their affair. Trahan said she asked to delay the injection, but Schmidt insisted and injected her. He then left her home. A summary of the trial in a Louisiana Third Circuit Court of Appeal decision said, Trahan began feeling ill after the shot. After months of doctor's appointments, she was eventually diagnosed with HIV, the virus that causes AIDS, and hepatitis C. She initially sought care from Schmidt, who ordered a blood panel conducted. Despite claiming that the panel tested for HIV and Trahan was negative, it was later determined he did not test for HIV. At least one doctor Trahan saw while seeking a diagnosis did not test for HIV because of Schmidt's claim about the negative test result, the trial summary said. Trahan filed a criminal complaint against Schmidt, initiating an investigation. Lafayette Police Department investigators determined that on August 2994 and August 4, 1994, Schmidt drew blood from two patients, one with hepatitis C and another with AIDS. According to an office jot book that logged patient blood draws and test samples, the blood samples were not assigned any tests or a corresponding ID number, as other blood tests were. The jot book itself was also found stashed in a box in a storage room behind Schmidt's private office, per testimony presented at trial. Prosecutors also presented testimony from experts detailing the relatedness between Trahan's HIV infection and the HIV infection of the patient Schmidt drew blood from. The relatedness was assessed using phylogenetic analysis, which assess evolutionary relationships and, in the case of HIV study, the degree of difference between HIV DNA. This was the first criminal case in the United States to introduce phylogenetic analysis as evidence. Other evidence presented by the prosecution included testimony examining the history of Schmidt and Trahan's relationship, as well as Trahan's sexual history, since HIV is commonly transmitted through sexual contact. Schmidt unsuccessfully challenged his conviction in state and federal court, seeking appeals, relief, and other forms of legal intervention in his case. The 74-year-old applied for parole at least once and was denied in June 2015. Trahan testified against Schmidt's parole request at the 2015 hearing, according to an Acadiana Advocate report. In 2020, Schmidt sought a second review of his case in federal court. He argued that the phylogenetic analysis was incorrectly conducted, and the application of the analysis method as used at trial has since been discredited, and argued prosecutors' presentation of the phylogenetic evidence constituted prosecutorial misconduct. Because the 74-year-old had previously attempted to challenge the phylogenetic evidence, the review was limited to whether prosecutorial misconduct occurred because of its use at trial. As part of his filing, Schmidt submitted affidavits from Gerald H. Learn, Ph.D., and William Gallagher, Ph.D., experts in microbiology, virology, molecular genetics, and evolutionary biology. Gallagher also testified as an expert witness for Schmidt's defense at his 1998 trial. Learn and Gallagher stated that scientific advancements have discredited the use of phylogenetic analysis to prove direct relatedness between strains of HIV, and modern tests show that Trahan's HIV infection and the infection of the originating patient are not related. They said the new test results could exonerate Schmidt. U.S. Magistrate Judge Carol B. Whitehurst wrote in a review of the petition that in 1998 the phylogenetic evidence was sufficiently evaluated in pretrial review and deemed admissible, and that prosecutors could not have predicted the scientific advancements cited in Learn and Gallagher's affidavits. Whitehurst found the prosecutors appropriately relied on the science available at the time and did not commit misconduct. Judge Robert R. Summerhays agreed with Whitehurst's findings and denied Schmidt's petition in June 2022. The story of Dr. Richard Schmidt and Janice Trahan is more than just a case of medical malpractice. It is a chilling testament to the devastating consequences of misplaced trust. It is a story that shakes the very foundation of the doctor-patient relationship, exposing how power and knowledge, when placed in the wrong hands, can be weaponized in the most insidious ways. Schmidt was not just a doctor, he was a man with influence, a man bound by the sacred oath to heal, a man whom Janice loved, trusted, and even built a life with. Yet his love turned to cruelty in the most unimaginable way. His betrayal was not one of mere words or broken promises, but of calculated, premeditated harm, an irreversible act that would alter the course of Janice's life forever. What made this case even more terrifying was the method of the crime. This was not a violent attack in a dark alley, nor was it a crime of sudden rage. It was something far more sinister. Schmidt exploited his medical expertise, his access to deadly pathogens, and the implicit trust that comes with a white coat to carry out a crime so methodical, so deliberate, that it sent shockwaves through both the medical and legal communities. He didn't simply want to hurt Janice. He wanted her to suffer, to deteriorate slowly, to experience a fate worse than death, one she wouldn't even understand until it was too late. A survivor, not a victim. But Janice's story does not end in victimhood. Though she was deceived, infected, and left to grapple with an unimaginable fate, she refused to be silenced. She found the strength to fight back, not just for herself, but for countless others who could have fallen prey to similar abuses of power. Her courage in seeking justice led to a groundbreaking case that forever changed the legal landscape. It wasn't just about punishing one man. It was about proving that science could be a powerful tool in holding even the most esteemed professionals accountable. Her suffering became a catalyst for change. In the courtroom, pioneering forensic science took center stage, marking the first time that phylogenetic analysis, the study of evolutionary relationships between viral strains, was used as criminal evidence. This case set a legal precedent, demonstrating that viruses could leave a forensic fingerprint, much like DNA, and that justice could be served not just through testimony and circumstantial evidence, but through the very building blocks of life itself. For years, Schmidt hid behind his medical credentials, manipulating trust and evading accountability. But science, the very field he dedicated his career to, became the instrument of his downfall. The same precision that allowed him to orchestrate his crime was used to dismantle his defense, proving beyond a reasonable doubt that Janice's infection was no accident. No twist of fate. It was an act of pure malice. The long road to justice, Schmidt's conviction, may have brought legal closure, but it was not the end of the story. His relentless appeals served as a stark reminder of how science and justice are constantly evolving. As forensic techniques advance, so must our commitment to ensuring they are used fairly and accurately. While Schmidt's final attempt to overturn his conviction failed, his case highlights the delicate balance between scientific progress and legal certainty, one that will continue to shape the future of criminal investigations. For over 2 decades, he fought to undo the verdict, arguing that advancements in forensic virology had rendered the original evidence unreliable. But in the eyes of the law, justice had been served. Schmidt's attempts to rewrite history, to paint himself as the victim of flawed science, were systematically denied. His final years were spent in a prison cell, far from the prestige of his once respected medical career. And now with his death, the case is officially closed. But the lessons it offers remain. A legacy of vigilance. The case of Richard Schmidt is not just a cautionary tale, it is a wake-up call. It forces us to ask difficult questions about trust, power, and the unseen dangers lurking behind professional facades. It underscores the need for vigilance, not just in medicine, but in all areas where authority and expertise can be exploited. The white coat of a doctor, the badge of a police officer, the robe of a judge, these symbols of trust and protection should never be unquestioned shields against scrutiny. For patients, this case serves as a reminder to be our own advocates, to ask questions, to seek second opinions, and to recognize that trust in a doctor should never be absolute. While the vast majority of medical professionals uphold their duty with integrity, Schmidt's case proves that even those sworn to heal can choose to harm. For medical professionals, this case is a stark warning. The power and knowledge they possess come with an enormous ethical responsibility. The misuse of that power not only destroys lives, but also erodes the trust that forms the foundation of medicine itself. Hospitals, clinics, and medical boards must remain vigilant, ensuring that those in their ranks are held to the highest ethical standards. For the legal and scientific communities, this case highlights the ever-evolving role of forensic science in the pursuit of justice. The use of phylogenetic analysis in 1998 was groundbreaking, but it also opened a dialogue about the limits and responsibilities of using scientific advancements in criminal cases. As forensic technology continues to progress, so must our commitment to ensuring its fair and ethical application. The moment that changed everything. The courtroom was silent, the weight of justice pressing against the walls. Janice Trahan sat still, her hands clasped tightly, as the judge's voice rang through the chamber. Guilty. A single word that shattered years of fear, pain, and betrayal. A single word that transformed Janice from a victim into a survivor, from a survivor into a warrior. As the gavel fell, the world shifted. This was more than a conviction. It was a warning, a message that no one, not even a trusted doctor, was above the law. That science, when wielded for truth, could unmask even the most insidious crimes. That no matter how carefully a criminal tries to cover their tracks, the truth has a way of surfacing. Outside the courthouse, reporters clamored, cameras flashed, but Janice stood firm. She wasn't just a survivor, she was a symbol, a reminder that no act of cruelty should go unanswered, that every patient, every person must demand accountability. A call to action. Now the responsibility falls to us, to question, to challenge, to protect ourselves and those we love, to ensure that trust is never given blindly and that justice, no matter how long it takes, is always pursued. Because this case is not just about Janice. It is about every person who has ever placed their trust in an authority figure, only to have it betrayed. It is about ensuring that no one else has to suffer in silence. Stories like this shouldn't just be remembered. They should change the world. So if this story resonated with you, don't let it fade into history. Share it. Talk about it. Learn from it. And most importantly, stay vigilant, because justice is only as strong as the voices that demand it. Let this story stay with you, not as a cautionary tale of tragedy, but as a testament to the power of truth, perseverance, and the unyielding pursuit of justice. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more gripping true crime cases, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Your support helps us bring you more compelling stories of justice, betrayal, and resilience. Join the community, share your thoughts in the comments, and stay tuned for the next case that will leave you speechless.